suddenly we're working together in a coordinated fashion to help somebody else out in a time of great need and even danger. Singing has that power. But what is it about singing, especially singing in groups, that gives it power? Hi, this is Justin Barrett. I'm president of Blueprint 1543. I'm a former university professor and a psychological scientist. Today, in this episode, I'd like to talk about group singing, including Christmas caroling. One of my fond childhood memories from, I think I was about 11 years old, was when the church that I was part of, that my family was part of, decided to go Christmas caroling in the small mountain community we lived in at the time. And so we arranged ourselves into little groups and sort of worked around the community to people's houses singing carols. We got to one house that was being primarily heated by a wood burning stove, and their chimney caught on fire. It was just starting to spark while we were there. And so suddenly a group of Christmas carolers turned into a makeshift fire brigade, and we were suddenly all working together to put out a chimney fire and keep the house from catching on fire in a more serious type of way. Not a typical kind of Christmas caroling memory, but it was memorable to me because a lot of people who were out there just to sing and to bring a little, Christmas cheer while we're singing, suddenly we're working together in a coordinated fashion to help somebody else out in a time of great need and even danger. Singing has that power. But what is it about singing, especially singing in groups, that gives it power? Now, you might be saying, well, wait a minute, what do you mean it has power? Well, lots of scientific research is starting to point to the power of singing, as along with other kinds of coordinated group activities, of having just this kind of power. The power to create a broader community, the power to make people more cooperative. Consider experiments like the following. Participants, humans in these studies, are asked to come into a lab and headphones are put on them. And they then are asked to either do a control sort of neutral task with the headphones on, or they are asked to sing along to the Canadian national anthem in the headphones. Okay? And their singing of the Canadian national anthem is with somebody else in synchrony with them, or singing it sort of out of sync. Somebody else is nearby and not singing at the same time as them, or they're doing some other kind of activity. And similar kinds of carefully designed experiments. The convergent finding over the last couple of decades is synchronous singing actually leads to people afterward being more trusting and cooperative. Well, how do we know that? Well, the measures that are commonly used in these kinds of experiments are called economic gains. And there are different variations on themes like, okay, everybody has to put in so much money. And the more money that everybody collectively puts in, the more payout everybody gets out. But it's actually best for you to not put in and kind of cheat everybody else. It takes trust for everybody to contribute, because other people might defect or not put in money and still reap the benefit of the collective contributions, and then keep their own money too. But in studies like the headphones singing in synchrony with someone else, the Canadian national anthem, which is very rousing at hockey games, as we know, people actually tend to donate more money. They're more trusting, they're more cooperative. Now, that isn't the only kind of measure that's been used in these kinds of studies, and they've been done with adults and children. And the emerging picture we're starting to see is that group singing somehow gives us this sense of being part of something bigger, of bonding us to everybody else, and being more cooperative then with that group of people. And there are a few reasons for this kind of finding that scientists are sort of offering as explanations for this. One of those simple sort of accounts is that, well, singing is rewarding. It triggers our reward centers because there's something sort of deeply human about it. We know that it does trigger certain kinds of neurotransmitters that tell us, hey, do that again, that was fun. We know that happens. Well, why? It could be, it's been speculated in a sort of informed speculative type of way, that singing exaggerates our vocal qualities. And as you've probably experienced, picking out human voices in noisy environments, or even in natural environments that aren't so noisy and you hear people, is something we automatically and readily do. Why? Because other people are both our greatest promise for survival and sort of doing well, thriving. They're also our biggest threat. So it's really important to know where are the humans around and then tune in and figure out what are they talking about. So we are naturally tuned to human voices. We find it rewarding to hear human voices. So what about singing? Well, of course, that's human voices, but it's even exaggerated human voices. It's what cognitive scientists sometimes call super stimuli. The characteristics of what makes speech, these vowel sounds like ah, e, o, u, are drawn out even longer. They're exaggerated. The consonants are sometimes really exaggerated too. So when I fa la 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 la, I'm not just fa la la la, I'm fa la 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 laing. So I'm really exaggerating these vowel sounds that then our auditory system and our brain that processes language in particular, those systems that are looking for language out there go, whoa, I found some super language. And so they get really excited. And that's rewarding. So that's one of the reasons that singing is sort of gets us excited. But group singing also adds a superordinate goal. And social psychologists have long noticed that when a group of people, even if they have competing interests most of the time, if they can be brought together under one umbrella, what they call superordinate goal, we're doing this together, and it takes all of us to be successful, well, then we actually feel better about each other. We end up trusting each other a little bit more. And singing, in a small way, does that. You and I have to sing the same stuff at the same time under the same rhythm, or maybe we're singing harmonies or descants or counters or whatever it is, but we're cooperating. If you sing on a different key or sing at a different tempo or sing a different song altogether, it sounds horrible and we all lose. But if we cooperate, we do something greater than what any one of us can do. It's a superordinate goal. It makes us happy. It makes us feel bonded with each other. So that's one of the other reasons that singing together seems to be a positive thing. Okay, so happy neurotransmitters that are rewarding, endorphins, oxytocin, serotonin, and then we've got a superordinate goal. What else is going on with singing? Well, it's slightly embarrassing sometimes because we don't always feel confident in our singing. Even if we're good singers, if we don't know the song, we might feel a little bit sort of out of whack, uncomfortable. That causes physiological arousal. Discomfort does. A little bit of embarrassment, just a little bit of embarrassment gives us a little bit of a physiological boost. But usually in group singing, especially if we're, say, Christmas caroling, it's okay to mess up a little bit. We know it's not sort of a polished performance. We're just having fun together. And so laughter, other kinds of party atmosphere gives us cues that this is a fun environment. And so that little bit of discomfort, that little bit of embarrassment from singing, something that we don't normally do all the time, actually raises our emotional sort of response, glued in with these sort of positive cues that, hey, this is a fun environment, actually gives us more fun than if we were sort of emotionally muted. So that little bit of embarrassment actually isn't a bad thing. As I've heard it pointed out, there's something about common humiliation that can bond a group of people together. So that's one of the other reasons why collective singing might actually be a really great group bonding kind of activity. So there are a bunch of reasons why it seems that singing together as a group actually helps us form bonds with other people around us. It makes us feel good. We enjoy it. And there's quite a lot of emerging science around this. If you're interested in these kinds of topics, I encourage you to check out The Singing Neanderthal by one of our leading psychological popularizers of science, Stephen Mithin. It's an interesting book. It's worth checking out. He's a very clever guy and knows his stuff. Even if I don't agree with him all the time, he's definitely one of the leading communicators of science for the public these days. So you might check that out. But mostly I want to leave you with this encouragement that maybe at those sort of awkward family gatherings, it's okay to be a little bit awkward and introduce group singing, some Christmas caroling. Go out with a group of friends and go Christmas caroling. There's, especially if you think maybe the holidays might be a little bit contentious, like there's too much disagreement, you need to draw people together. At one of the institutions that I taught at, our president, whenever we had sort of a slightly contentious or conflict sort of a laden faculty meetings, he would actually have us sing hymns together. It was a seminary, so that's okay there. But he'd have us all sing a hymn together. and it recentered us. It brought us back together. It emotionally put us back together. And maybe singing Christmas carols could do that for you, your family, and friends this Christmas season as well. So give it a try. Christmas caroling to draw people together. I'm Justin Barrett. Thanks for watching this episode. As always, please subscribe, like, and send us your comments, suggestions for a topic you'd like to hear me talk about. Thanks very much, and Merry Christmas.